you were a kid, it was pretty common to argue with classmates and friends about Nintendo sucks, Xbox and PlayStation is where it's at, Mario is for babies, Gears of War is better because there's blood and chainsaws everywhere. Do you know how many slurs I was called in elementary school simply because I didn't own an Xbox? Quite a lot. Quite a lot actually, but I mean, those were different times. And by different times, I'm referring to we were kids. We loved to fight and put each other down over the most petty things. So how the hell do we still have grown-ass people still arguing nowadays about which console is better? Console wars. You know about them, you've probably taken part in them. When you're a fan of something, naturally you want to see it do good, thrive and rise above all competition. And there is nothing inherently wrong with that. But just like with any belief, if you take that to an extreme, then you're nothing more than a blind fanboy. Throughout the years, even before I got deep into the internet, console wars have always been there. Whether it be recess at school, talking with my own cousins, or even at gaming communities, you have people arguing about their sales, the types of games they play, how powerful the little boxes are, even threatening game studios when their own exclusives go to other platforms. Hell, even at times, I've seen people buy the latest console just to say they own the latest console. Or to show off they have money. It's also that. But now that I'm an adult, I've come to see just how stupid console wars are. Not just because they're pointless, but because of how they also affect the gaming industry as a whole. For me, this entire concept is just another form of brand loyalty, which I find ridiculous. Let me explain. As some of you know, I spent 5 years in business college, biggest waste of my life. But one thing I do remember there, however, is that they taught us that companies will always try to win loyal customers through better products and services. Competitiveness breeds innovation. However, that is one of the biggest lies I've been told because it's the exact opposite, especially in the gaming industry. It's like when one company kicks its consumers in the balls, the next one will try to do the same. And you know why? Because we allow them to. Sony will arbitrarily raise its stupid prices. Now apparently Nintendo is trying to do the same. Microsoft will continue to try and monopolize the entire industry, and Sony is throwing tantrums because they wanted to do that first. Oh, and my favorite example? How the Pokémon Company, despite being the highest grossing media franchise in the world, gets away with selling a literal dumpster fire just because millions of people will say stuff like, I don't care this game is a buggy mess, I'm still having fun. I'm gonna buy this game just to own the haters. You know, I love Nintendo games, I think that's more than obvious. But just because Nintendo has created some of my favorite games of all time, it doesn't mean they are incapable of doing dumbass things. And I'm not just talking about making an occasional terrible game like Paper Mario Sticker Star. I'm saying that, more than a game developer, Nintendo is also a company. All they care about is to make profit, and they're not exempt of making anti-consumer decisions. And you can still see them do that in recent times. Getting rid of virtual console games to put them in an online service. Said online service being of questionable quality. Games that are almost 10 years old still being sold at full retail price. Releasing complete games just to finish them under the guise of quote-unquote free updates. The list keeps going, and no amount of nostalgia can make all of this look good. And you know why they pull this stuff all the time? Because they know that no matter what they do, there's always gonna be people who eat what they do without hesitation. I find extreme loyalty so pathetic because these people act as if defending their company to tooth and nail will earn them some sort of recognition from them. Dude, first, deep down, they really don't care about you. Second, there is no benefit in defending every single thing they do. You don't get better by ignoring the wrongs. You get better by acknowledging them and doing something about it. And you might wonder, well, as a single person, what can I do to change things? For starters, expressing your disapproval is a good thing. Second, not consuming products like an idiot also helps too. It may not sound like a big deal, but trust me, money speaks. A lot. Much more than you can imagine. We as consumers have more power than we believe. By not giving companies what they want for doing the bare minimum, they are forced to make better products, better deals, and better services. There's nothing wrong with giving your money to whoever respects you as a consumer. But to be fair, I also believe that this extreme brand loyalty also comes from the fact that some people are very afraid of stepping out of their comfort zone. And in a way, I can't blame them for that. Video games inherently take time and cost money, so sinking your teeth into something that might or might not be to your liking can be a bit scary. But to that I say, why play it safe all the time? Honestly, you will be surprised at all the amazing things you can find out there. I've said this many times before, but I'll say it again. There is always something amazing to play. You just gotta go and look for it. And no matter how much attachment you might have for the company that made your favorite games, there's still merit in seeing what the competition has to offer. Let me tell you a little story. When I was like 12, 13 years old, I had my face off. Oh, Nintendo is for little babies. I want the real man's machine, the Xbox 360. And even though I eventually grew up out of that mentality, I actually don't regret getting an Xbox at all, because this little console allowed me to play a plethora of fantastic titles I couldn't find with Nintendo. Red Dead Redemption, the Gears of War trilogy, the Dead Rising series, Left 4 Dead 2, Alan Wake, and so many others. In the mid-2010s, I actually preferred Sony in that generation. Nintendo was screwing up really badly with the Wii U. They still had some good games, make no mistake, but the PlayStation 3 and 4 filled that void that the Wii U couldn't, and more. It seemed like everywhere I looked there was always something fantastic at an accessible price. From the Kingdom Hearts series, playing all of Yakuza, Okami, Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, Nier, Bloodborne, and especially Gravity Rush. Yeah, you can argue that the PS2 era was the best for the company, but at least for me, at this point in time, PlayStation fulfilled all my gaming needs. Nowadays, very sadly, that is not the case anymore. Sony doesn't have a crumb of what made them so special to me in that era. It seems like all they have to offer now are cinematic, over-the-shoulder action games, and I'm not saying they're bad by any means, but if that's all I can expect from them, then I'm sorry. I see not a single reason to want to support them. Almost any game I wanted to play with them, I can find it on PC, and if my PC can't run it properly, most of these games still work on the PS4. Literally the only games I'm interested in are Final Fantasy XVI and 7 Rebirth. So what do I do now? Do I waste my money on a console that only has one game? I don't know why! Should I just sit to Sony, overpricing its games and online membership? Hell no! In that case, I'd rather move to Nintendo, which, yeah, they also have their own share of stupid decisions. But at least in my eyes, and known personal tastes, they have much more value than Sony at the moment, and hell, even if Nintendo does something that screws over consumers, I can simply choose not to support that. And say, worst case scenario, say Nintendo loses all my trust. All it takes for me is to check out the eShop or maybe Steam and find a very cool indie game. Honestly, it's crazy what you can find. Indie games are an excellent gateway for you to try some new experiences you may have never imagined before, or in some cases, replicate the essence of a long-dead franchise while still being its own thing. And the best part is, most of the time these games are very accessible. You can play them on most platforms with no need to partake in stupid console wars at all. What I'm trying to say with this video is that blind loyalty is a poison in the gaming industry. I don't know who needs to hear something so damn obvious, but companies are not your friends. Sure, there's no shortage of amazing and talented people working in them, and we've had a share of fantastic leaders in the past. But don't look away from what are awful practices in the present just because they made a cute joke in an online event, or because the social media guy is actually a funny person. The moment these companies smell they can abuse of your trust, they won't hesitate to exploit it to the fullest. You want an example? Look at Sega! For the past few years, they were also extremely hee ha 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 with their fans, supporting fan projects and making a lot of memes online. In recent times, they've been doing better thanks to the success of Atlas games, Yakuza games, and Sonic finally getting a more positive reception among gamers once again. But then comes Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Amazing game, sure, I love it so much. But now you tell me they block post-game content and New Game Plus behind a paywall? That is so scummy! I think it's time we start to humble them once again, because none of this is okay. Just remember, the competition should be between the companies, not the consumers. This is not an attack to what you like to play. If you love your bling bling wahoo games, that's awesome. If you enjoy the one game, I don't know why, that PlayStation has, that's great! If you prefer Xbox because of the Game Pass gallery, good for you! But don't act like toddlers defending everything your company does, because they all have their own skeletons in the closet. And that goes for PC gamers too, like, oh my god! Console wars are awful, but PC elitism is on an entirely different level of annoying. Like, yeah dude, PC gaming is amazing, the superior way, I know, I get it, I love it too, but god, shut up! You don't have to repeat, you're incapable of feeling joy if it's not 60 frames per second. Nobody cares you have 300 gigafarts of RAM. Your RPG keyboard isn't bringing color into your life once again. Too bad dude, give up, it's over. Sorry, I just needed to get that out of my system. Anyway, I believe there's 3 important lessons here. 1. We as consumers have much more power than you can imagine. But that is only if the grand majority of people is willing to make a difference. 2. Console wars aren't just stupid because you're slurping a company to no end. They also suck because you close yourself to the opportunity to try new and amazing experiences. And 3. Companies are not your friends. If you jerk them off to no end, nobody wins. Except for them, who played you like a goddamn moron.